Good morning, everybody. This is Gleason with Startuptrading.com. It is 9 o'clock in the morning on July 17th, 2020 for economic news events. After the bell open here, we're going to have preliminary University of Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation expectations at 10 a.m. And because it's Friday, we'll just check out what we got going on for next week's news events. Just the red star ones we'll gloss over. RBA Governor Lowe will be speaking on Monday, Canadian retail sales Tuesday, and then really nothing red star until PMI numbers on Friday for the euro. So lighter news event next week than there was this week. I'm going to start off by looking at the VIX here this morning, and I want to go over this next traditional short setup. So the VIX has higher time frame targets down at 25. It's a 25.94. We ran into a profit target yesterday in the VIX, and that actually created the profit target. The short covering in the VIX created that sell-off into the end of the day that ended up being a fake out. But we have completed this 27.55 profit target, and once we complete that profit target, we have a next measured move. That next measured move is going to be right now, if we don't make a new low, it's a 28.60. This short in the VIX is going to be where you're going to want to pay attention to the indexes for their support levels. Now, we don't exactly know where the indexes will be when the VIX comes into the 28.60 level. There'll be different variations of supports for each individual index, but what's important to note is the VIX is actually more technical than the indexes. And yesterday was a great example. When the VIX hit its profit target, the profit target of the VIX created the selling pressure in the indexes. So the entry into the next short in the VIX is going to create buying pressure in the indexes. And this is going to be the most technical setup for the indexes. We don't know where the indexes will be, but pay attention to right now what is the halfway back short from Wednesday's high to the low, and that'll give us a long trade setup possibly today. If it doesn't trade today, we'll most likely get it on Monday. So just wanted to point that out to start the video. We'll begin with the S&P 500, and it's Friday in the summer, and yesterday we had a really tight range. Unless we get a move higher and that gets washed out to a move lower, I don't think we get a very aggressive breakout here today. Anything is possible. What I'm looking for and what I'd like to see is the full 50% retracement from Tuesday's low to high. Now, we traded the 38% retracement of that move, which lined up very close to a gap fill, or really the highs we broke out of on Tuesday. That gap up on, I believe there was like some vaccine news. And we've been up inside that range ever since. Actually, got to adjust this a little bit. The full 50% retracement would be a 31.76, and then right below that we have a level that I had marked up that's just these previous highs that were rejected last week that I'm paying attention to. Now, just remember, if we are moving back into the highs we had in June, so above those highs in June, it's just another short squeeze. We have broken out of the full 50% retracement short by just a tick yesterday. That was our high. So for a morning trade, there is a valid 50% retracement long from what is Thursday's low to high, just on the smaller time frame here. So Thursday's low to high gives us a 50% retracement at 32.03 for the S&P. Moving on to the Dow, which was the one market that did have the long setup. Now, I want to pay attention when I'm looking at these different markets, and one of them came off a daily support versus other ones that do not. I like to pay attention to the market that came off its daily support level. Well, in that case, that today here is the Dow. So I do think the Dow, more than the other indexes, will have a little bit more of a technical upside. We traded a perfect, this is from yesterday's video, it was a 26,469. It was absolutely beautiful, halfway back, and it was a daily traditional. We rotated out of that. Now, going into the close, there was this 50% retracement as well. Now, it broke in the overnight session, but if we can go back up and complete this target once the market opens, so in like 20 minutes or whatever, that low to high will be a regular trading hours halfway back. So upon a completion of 26,691 during the regular trading hours, I will then take that low to high and look for the next pullback, which very well possibly could line up with this downsloping trend line. This is a channel that we have broken out of here in the overnight session. So I'm not going to draw that up yet. I'll do it in the trade room when it happens, but that's really my only plan here for the Dow as of right now. If we do trade lower, the support level I have below is 26,350 area. Moving on to the NASDAQ, which is under a little pressure. There was that incredible reversal on Monday, and we've been below the 50% retracement short all week since. That 10,710 is resistance until it breaks. And I just think we're going to range here between 10,710. And on the low side, if we could double bottom near this 10,392, that would also be it's a very powerful support level. It's going to be pretty hard to break. You can see the closes of these morning candles from Tuesday. That's really where the bid came in the prior day, but we did not hold the halfway back long. In fact, it was the halfway back short from Wednesday's high to low that had a technical reaction. If we break back above that 61.8, there will be a valid 50% retracement long from lows that you can patiently wait for. But the NASDAQ, to me, for the first time in a while, really isn't the leader here for long setups, and it won't be as long as we're below this 10,792. It won't be the leader. So just keep that in mind. Oil is had a really technical Wednesday. That swing low from Wednesday's low to high, it has gotten a little choppy here. A little choppy. We traded the 50% retracement. We broke the 61. We traded back to highs. We broke the 61. Now we're not really getting below this 61.8, right? It's not like it's leading to a trend change. It's just this oil market is being sloppy. So ideally, if we can break out above, and maybe we do it right now as I'm talking, but if we start breaking back out of the top side of this trend line, this channel, the halfway back long for the day would then be the setup I would pay attention to. I do believe that oil futures rolled last night, so they could get a little more technical here. We're in now the September contract, and that's why there was this gap here in the chart, because the futures contract rolled on Thinkorswim for oil. So be aware of that. Moving on to the USDJPY. Now, coming out of Wednesday's low, there was a pretty heavy reversal. There was a 50% retracement long right into the Asian session. It was aggressively front run, and then we just have Thursday's low to high that's caught a bid here in the overnight session. There is going to be a range between 107.39s and the 107.10s. And I'm just going to leave it at that. If we break out of either side of the range, you're going to want to pay attention to the direction of the range break. But between 107.10s and 107.39s, I'm just going to leave this market alone. Moving on to the Aussie dollar. Let's back out here to the daily. We have come off of, and our highs are really a double top. We have like a double top situation. These highs were rejected in June, and they've been rejected again. They were also at profit target. The Aussie dollar can trade all the way back down to the 50% retracement from the lows of the range. The June 15th high, the June 15th low, too high. And since that high has been rejected, the Aussie dollar has seen 50% retracement shorts getting sold into. Now we tagged that 61, and then yesterday's high to low has been rejected here again. So that gives us two downside targets at 69.54 and 69.50. So the Aussie dollar below 70.11 has more of a bearish bias, and the entries have already traded. So if we complete a profit target, we'll have a next measured move. Otherwise, if you really want to trade this market, you got to go down to the smaller time frame, and you got the halfway back short from the highs of the day, and then you would just have that next micro. Okay, and you can see these are getting participation, trying to move down to their lower targets in the Aussie dollar. Moving on to the euro, if we break below the 114.10s here, I believe we'll have a short sequence from highs. We have not quite a trend line touch, but it's trend lines within a couple of pips. I mean, I basically consider a touch. I'm just looking for the confirmation. There's a smaller time frame extension here that I've just witnessed trade once. Oops, I have it drawn wrong, but it was once from the swing high 113.95 to high to target, and that same anchor new high. So above this 114.08, we're going to be bullish. But if we break the 114.08, that means the third touch of the trend line is breaking at least the trend that led us up, and we can go back to the bottom of the range. So unless we break below 114.08, I'm not interested in this same anchor new high here. It very well could work, but running up into these highs, I'm just not interested in it. Now, if we trade through it, and if we blast off into the 145, there would be an extension to extension. But that would all need to be very aggressive here because it's going to be Friday after the European close. Markets should get pretty slow. The GBPUSD, let's go to a daily here. There is a 50% retracement long that could potentially come into a retest at the 124.97. Now, we have a previous leg start lower that has just traded on the low. But this is in a higher time frame bullish setup near the bottom of the range. Very well near the bottom of the range. I would use the break of the halfway back short for the day to confirm this double bottom, but unless we get down, I'm really hoping we can get down just a little lower, but we might not get it. So unless we break above 125.50s or trade lower into the 124.97, there will be no setup for me in the pound. The USDCAD is inside of a 50% retracement short from the swing high of the week to low. We have been inside of a consolidation for probably 12 hours, maybe a little longer. The downside target is a 134.67, and if we can clear through this lows at the 134.70 level, this thing can get moving. You can see there's just a little small micro halfway back holding. And if we can fall off this cliff, this is going to look like a head and shoulders, and we'll move back to the bottom of the range here. Gold, I had drew up this trend line here, and it was from, this is the first touch, second touch, third touch, it's getting a little sloppy, and then I drew this top side of the trend line. We are getting out of this. What I think will happen here in GC, I'm going to just delete that, is we'll go back up to the top side of the range. Gold has, and I always like to watch and look for markets that have just green bars after green bars. First of all, on the startup trading indicators, the top left of my screen that you see every day, which are the dots in the swing marks, it's green. Okay, that's good. But look, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour, 5. Okay, that's like that closes the same part. 6 hours straight up, and then before that, 1, 2, 3, 4. So out of these lows, there's been quite a reversal here in the gold market. And what I'll look for is whatever the last extension is to trade. You really have to go down to the smaller time frame to begin to identify the series. So coming out of lows, here's our first halfway back. And then we had another one here, and then we started after that. I believe we had an extension. Here was the extension. Here. Okay, this looks like the anchor right now. The 1804.1 is the extension anchor. If we complete this 1811s, we'll have a same anchor new high, only on to completion. Otherwise, the full 50% retracement long is down at 1802. But if we continue to go straight up here off the open, because we do have those University of Michigan inflation expectations, which gold is kind of tied into that whole news category of it being an inflation hedge, this very well could be catching a bid into those numbers, which are a half an hour after the bell. And along that, silver, which has been technical. And once again, this is also a pretty significant reversal. Now, earlier this week, we had on Tuesday what was the Thursday low of last week to high. Now, that traded, we made a new high, and then after we made that, actually we had this 50% retracement long, which traded on Wednesday, retested yesterday, but we broke down into that same last week Thursday's low too high, and that was what was front run. So as long as we can clear these highs, silver, just like gold with those inflation expectation numbers, we're in the third touch of a trend line. If we can clear this, we can make a run here, and both silver and gold can have very technical mornings. So the important thing is to identify the anchors. This is about the only thing I see trading on the smaller time frame that I like the micro series. And let's see, this is the first halfway back, and then that's the extension off of it. So we have a 1947 half anchor to high. Now it's going to complete a negative 61, and then we would have a same anchor new high from that point. We are running into that only if we get through 1975s would we have an extension to an extension. So if we blast off through 1975, we'll begin anchors from 1961 half. But right now, I would just look at the same anchor new high. The 38% retracement is a 1961. But we're running right up on that third test. But it's going to be interesting to see at that 10 a.m. if those inflation expectation numbers come out. Those very well could be, the movers here for gold and silver. So that is going to wrap up my morning trade plan. I will be here for the morning session only, and then I'm just going to go enjoy my Friday. Get an early start to my weekend. If you enjoyed this content every single morning, guys, please give this video a thumbs up for me. Share it with anybody who you think might be interested in futures trading. Welcome to the best futures trade room around. I'll see you guys in there. Share my levels with you guys. I'm expecting a technical morning in silver and gold. Also, the currencies I think are more technical than the indexes here. The indexes are a little sketch just in their setups. If you want to focus on anything long, it's a Dow. Take care. I'll see you in the room. Technical morning in silver and gold. Also, the currencies I think are more technical than the indexes here. The indexes are a little sketch just in their setups. If you want to focus on anything long, it's a Dow. Take care. I'll see you in the room.